Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to day 20 of Walking with Winston. Back in Tampa edition. Had a whirlwind day yesterday. Went over to our nation's capital for less than 12 hours. I was on a plane this time yesterday morning and was back last night around 7:30. So that was like a very long commute. So glad to be back home and be back into my routine. As much as I love change, I also love routine. And I think that's just natural. I want to thank you to folks who have been sharing these videos with others. When you say that these encourage you, inspire you, and challenge you, that's exactly what I was hoping for. I am so thankful for your comments and feedback and your questions about changing our mindset about change. And that's what we've been doing. That's the journey we've been on here for the last 3 weeks, to really consider change with a new frame of mind or mindset. So today's a topic I'm very passionate about. Probably going to dig into this one with some additional videos drawing out of my personal life experience with this. I'm thinking that we may spend some time on this, settle on this topic specifically next week. So for those of you who are new, we're recapping the win the gift model of changing our mindset about change. Overcoming the mindset that change is difficult, is daunting, and is hard and takes a lot of time. And I believe that our mindset, our frame of mind about how we approach change is a significant part of the battle to transform our lives. So, quick recap. WIN, the acronym WIN, stands for breaking down the change that you're contemplating, the transformation you're contemplating, into winnable, smaller steps. So that you can see intellectually that change is possible. The second is to draw upon the experience of others, or maybe the experiences in your own life, to see and draw inspiration from those models. So I is for inspiring. N is for adding new things in your change process, particularly change that you're initiating, and to make it novel and fun, something different. It helps to rewire our brains if we don't follow the same habitual patterns, that we try some new things to mix it up and have fun. And then this week we've been exploring the second acronym, which is GIFT. We talked about G as growth. And so thinking beyond incremental change to massive change that would create a super compelling why. Thinking about growth at a 10x basis versus incremental or 2x growth, how that can propel us to greater heights. And then yesterday I talked about invest and how when we financially invest, speaking mostly about that, it also propels us to greater accountability. So the example I used was a health journey. The difference between an investment in a gym membership at $20 a month and a personal trainer at $50 per session. Which one is going to hold me more accountable? Which one is going to propel me to my results more quickly? And since I held out that metaphor, I have to take action on that front myself. So today the letter is F. And the word I'm going to draw upon today is faith. Let's take one quick half step back and say, a lot of the change that I am thinking about is transformation that I'm initiating. So these are things that I see in my own life, and I've hit a point of no return where I must take action. These are things that I've reached threshold and have been in the wilderness too long, and now I have to do something different to achieve a different outcome. My patterns have brought me to this place, but I'm not happy in this place anymore. And so whether it is financial bills that are mounting up, or health that is failing me, or a career that is frustrating me, or name your threshold, and you know that you have to take action. I'm talking a lot about self-initiated change and transformation. But I think today's topic also applies to change that is initiated by others. And we certainly know that happens. So, what helps us change our mindset about change more than faith? Now, I bet that there are people who are watching this who have very different faith traditions from my own. And I respect and honor that. I am speaking from personal experience in my own faith journey as I share this with you this morning. But I can't imagine anything more important to me in a change process than faith. You may have heard the phrase, taking small steps of faith. And that is going to be a huge topic for me. It's something I feel very passionate about because I have seen that, I've experienced that over and over again, that taking small steps of faith, taking action, getting out of park and beginning to move has been the catalyst for so many wonderful experiences in my life. And it really is the antidote to being mired in uncertainty and fear, at least in my life. So as I talk about my faith, I want you to think about drawing upon your reservoir of faith. And it can come in many forms. Tomorrow, the story I'm going to tell you about the letter T was a transformational moment in my life in the last month or so where people said how they had faith in me. So I'm going to save that story for tomorrow. It's a powerful one, powerful touchstone, and really has been the catalyst for all of this work. But let's talk about the opposite of faith. I guess that may be a good way to get started. A definition of faith. Hebrews 11:1 gives us one of the best definitions of faith, and I'm going to paraphrase it by saying, faith defines our hope of what we want, but it kind of underpins that hope of what we want, but it doesn't rely upon the evidence of what we can see. That's a very bad paraphrase, but what it means to me is that if we had absolute certainty about the outcome of our change, we wouldn't need faith. It would be here already. We have that certainty. We wouldn't need to draw upon a future belief. And life is very uncertain. While we all may get up every morning and believe that for an event that's going to happen in a couple weeks, we have absolutely no idea what's going to happen between now and then and whether that's going to in fact happen. We're doing it on faith. There are many unseen natural laws in our world. Gravity is one. It's not something that's tangible, and we can, but we experience it, and we believe it. And I think so many of our beliefs, maybe even false beliefs, are grounded in false faith. So maybe one of the mantras of my life is, I'm in control, I can get it done, I will provide, it all depends on my effort. Well, that's a mindset, and I would argue is probably a faith, a tenet of our faith that we may believe in. So I'm speaking of spiritual faith too, as I talk to you this morning. Because one of the things that best fuels my faith in my transformational journey is looking backwards over my life and taking stock of changes that I have been through before. I am a huge fan of daily journaling. Now, I will admit, good morning, that my daily journal is not a treatise. It's usually 3 to 4 sentences about some outcome, some unexpected, some different outcome of my day that occurred. And 4 years ago yesterday, I was looking at my journal, and I posted this on Facebook and Instagram yesterday of a event I had attended. And at that moment, I'd been opening my heart and soul for a change in my life. And, you know, when you do that, when you take the shackles of your mindset of how life has got to be, and you let that go, it's amazing what else will come into your heart and soul and mind. And so I'd been in a season 4 years ago where I was feeling very restless about my life, very uncertain about what the next steps in my life would be. And so I had been in a process. I can see it more clearly now. I don't think it was super intentional at the time, but I could see it now where I was letting go of some of the things that I had, mentally letting go of things I had been holding on to for my own self-identity. And I'd been going through a process of surrounding myself with others and consuming really great content, of letting go. And this, I think this is particularly difficult for guys. Our identity is really tied up into our job. And so I was beginning to release that identity. I was so tied in, my ego and everything was so tied into the work that I was doing, that I was beginning to release that. And so when this message, when this prompting inside of me surfaced, I was a very receptive hearer of that message. And I was sitting at a conference, and the speaker said something, and I can't remember who the speaker was or what exactly they said, but I will never forget what I felt. And I felt this prompting to go in a new direction of my life. Good morning. It was crystal clear. It was, the essence of it was that people, young entrepreneurs and people who are starting out in business today really have a heart for business. They want to make things happen, leverage the talents that they've been given, and they have a heart for service. And is there a way that they can do both? And so the language I used at the time was that I will help equip social entrepreneurs to build businesses that will fund kingdom and mission work around the world. You know, that would be my mission going forward. Well, you know, that's like, and given where I was at the time, that was an incredibly bold statement, and I felt terribly ill-equipped. Now I'll probably talk a little bit later in another video about the opposition that I immediately felt to that change and the origins of that. But let's just say that having received that prompting, I felt tremendously ill-equipped. And so I put that dream on hold. But in looking at my journey over the last 4 years and being able to look backwards through daily journaling, I can see that many of the steps, many of the experiences, many of the opportunities that I've had since then have perfectly now supported that initial vision. Now, pop psychologists would say, well, that's just confirmation bias. My reticular activating system is looking for evidence that supports a belief that I have, and therefore that's what I'm getting. But I believe there is those concepts may well be spiritual principles. Let that sink in for a minute. So much as what we hold up as truth in our scientific mind culture has deep, deep roots in biblical and spiritual truth. We hold it up, we package it in a secular way, but it ends up coming back to ancient wisdom. So I share all that to say sometimes when change is at its darkest, and sometimes when uncertainty is at its highest, we just can't stay in our mind. We have to believe in the change. We have to let go of the outcome and trust the process. Trust that there is an invisible hand that surrounds us with protection, that and I think this is particularly easier the old little technical difficulty there. I think this is particularly easier the older we get, to look back on our life and see that invisible hand at work. And to me, that has been such a blessing about this stage of life, that I can rely upon God, my Father, to help me navigate particularly the winds of change that feel outside my control, or they're initiated outside myself. So sometimes change is letting go. And the best tool I have for that is my faith. So I challenge you today on your change and transformational journey to rely upon your spiritual base, your spiritual beliefs, your faith, to take elements of uncertainty and turn it into a more certain future. With that, you guys have a great Thursday. I'll talk to you tomorrow about the letter T and the final step of Win the Gift. Have a great day, y'all.